AEW was once a great product. It was a company full of great matches, great characters, all interacting in what seemed like an alive universe. But somewhere down the line, Tony Khan was led astray, and the product is a shadow of its former self. Let us look at 10 of the reasons why the AEW product today sucks. Number 10. Inconsistency. Like all great television, great stories is what keeps viewers tuning in week to week. But how is it possible to tell a story if there is no consistency in week to week storytelling? Let's look at this for example. Miro was once the hottest thing in AEW and could have easily been propelled to the main event, but he just seemingly fell off the face of the earth. Hook was again incredibly over with the crowd, but I can't remember the last time we saw him on television. This happens far too often. We've seen it with countless amounts of wrestlers. I don't know how Tony Khan expects the crowd to get behind anybody when we know they can just disappear just like that. And yes, a lot of these wrestlers do appear on other AEW programming, but that leads into my next criticism. Number 9. Rampage and Dark. Rampage quickly went from being a fresh 1-hour episode of great wrestling and good story development to becoming WCW thunder. The show feels constantly rushed for time, it has no development of main storylines and rarely features top stars. It is a filler show for only the hardcore fans, and that is probably why Rampage ratings are tanking. Dark as a developmental show is fine, but when you start trying to tell stories on it is when it becomes a problem. We often recap, this happened on Dark and now it is a match on Dynamite. Tony Khan, listen up. Nobody watches Dark and we're not interested in any storylines that arise from that show because A, we didn't watch it, and B, we are told that Dark is a developmental show, so why would we care? Number 8. Too many titles. Since the acquisition of Ring of Honor, there's been way too many titles. There was already a total of 8 championships within AEW alone. Add on all the Ring of Honor championships, the Impact championships in AAA, and we've got a serious problem on our hands. I find it hard getting excited for title changes in AEW anymore because titles don't mean a damn thing if every second person on the roster has one. This also means titles aren't given the time of day to flesh out storylines. Like, what good thing has happened since the All Atlantic title was brought in? Number 7. Stories are overdone. Stories are overdone both in quantity and in length. I like long-term storytelling, but the JAS and BCC are just going to feud for life, it seems. There never seems to be an end for some storylines, and they always drag on months longer than they should. There seems to be a common theme around Jericho storylines, but we've seen this everywhere. Knowing when to wrap up the feud is just as important as the feud itself. The quantity of stories being told is ridiculous as well. Not everything has to have stories, sometimes matches can just happen. Again, it is meant to be a sporting product after all. In boxing and MMA, matches are just made sometimes. Number 6. No rules. Probably the biggest thing separating AEW from WWE is a lack of rules within matches. In tag matches especially, there are no rules at all. How are we ever going to believe this product is a credible sport program if the refs don't enforce anything? Number 5. The Women's Division. Since the initial launch of AEW, there's always been one major criticism that has followed them around: the Women's Division. Rightfully so as well, because Tony Khan gives them nothing to work with. They get given one 5-minute match every week on Dynamite just before the main event when the crowd is tired. They never get segments to flesh out the characters so the crowd can invest in them. They were even given a toy-like title for several years. The division is not without talent. We have great wrestlers like Ruby Soho, but when Tony Khan gets bored of his real-life toys, he just throws them away and we never see them again. Number 4. Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is perhaps the biggest problem with AEW today. It has stories all over the place, and it is a framework for many of the problems on this list. When Tony Khan first announced he had acquired Ring of Honor, it was great news, but this ultimately has been the downfall of AEW. Loads of unknown characters flooded the roster, the titles in the company became oversaturated, and now there are thousands of storylines just being rushed along. Without Ring of Honor, maybe AEW would still be good, but it's certainly centered on a dangerous downward slope. Number 3. Character work. The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin are probably the 2 biggest stars to ever come out of wrestling, and why is that? Because of their characters. You can be the greatest in-ring technician of all time, but if you have no character, it's impossible to make it to the top. Dynamite has no breathing room, there's no opportunities for wrestlers to develop personas or characters, and that is really hurting their development as wrestlers. Wheeler Yuta is somebody who has a lot of potential, but he has absolutely zero character. Maybe AEW would benefit from less emphasis on matches and more on characters. Number 2. Shots at WWE. It's just getting old now. At the start, all the shots at WWE felt cool, like we're in a nano wrestling war, but WWE just doesn't seem to care. When you keep constantly firing shots at someone that doesn't even acknowledge your existence, you just come off as that crazy ex-girlfriend. I think the energy devoted to this could be used elsewhere. And number 1, the win-loss record. The win-loss record has been a burden on AEW programming for a long time now. It dictates storylines and matches in an undesirable way. If Khan wants somebody in the title scene, he has to give them a ton of matches on TV where they just squash someone, which is just filler television. But half the time, the record doesn't mean a damn thing. The number 1 ranked wrestlers don't get their matches for the longest time, with matches going to others, which makes no sense. Did you agree with all these points? Let me know. AEW do some stuff well, and that's why I booked a dream match card with AEW and WWE here.